So
Hello.
this is gonna be such a different intro. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh man, so professional.
Get us started.
Yes.
But with that canal thing, the Suez Canal, if it's that like sensitive, I'm surprised no one's tried any weird stuff like earlier with it. Unless someone has, but I just haven't heard about it. It's a bit
I know it's vital to the Egyptian economy. That's
Yeah.
what I've gathered so far. But I know, and some ships have decided to go around the south of Africa
Yeah.
because if it takes more than a week to do, at least they deliver their goods.
Yeah, I've seen lots of jokes online about Somalia being like, I'll go there.
Well, with all the ships sat there, of course, they may
Mm.
think they're safe from pirates if they just sat there waiting to go through the canal.
Yeah.
They are
True.
ripe targets because they're not even moving.
Yeah,
True.
tricky situation.
Yeah, I hope it relieves itself soon, though.
Yeah, so much riding on it, including the prices
Rockets is
of
no joke.
hardware. Yeah,
Of course, in the States, they've got the tariff from the when the administration turned over, and there was this Chinese tariff. So all goods coming from China into the States have a 25% tariff levied on them, I think.
Oh, right, okay.
So it bumped up the price of everything on January something, and so that everybody's in the States has been hit with that. So it's not a good time if you want to build a computer.
Yeah. So, Sharon, what's the update on your computer? Sorry.
Oh yeah, they said it's coming tomorrow, but then again, I'm just making up my mind saying that it's gonna be 5 more days. Just don't worry. I mean, if it comes tomorrow, yeah, that's good. But if it comes 5 more days, I'm just getting ready.
Yeah, you're trying to be like
They said
emotionally prepared.
Yeah, emotionally prepared. Yeah, like how long can I wait? Like I can't just. It's been okay. Let me tell you, 45 days of doing nothing. Literally.
45.
Just imagine 45 days doing nothing, just experimenting stuff. And because I'm not getting like fast previews with this old laptop, so with those fireflies, and oh yeah, it doesn't support optics, by the way. The graphics card, great. I mean, if I had to update the drivers in this one, it goes halfway through and says like fail, restart, and it does it 5 times. I was like, fine. The age is done with this laptop, so I was like, okay, optics doesn't work. So with the fireflies and everything in the viewport, it looks amazing. It's like, whoa, this looks real with all the fireflies. And when I click render, then I see like, oh damn, that doesn't look anything close to realism.
Oh no.
Yeah, and then okay, fine. Once I get the 3060 back, I mean, like the CPU back, I'm just going to put out more content, I guess. Like I can't just do this. And yeah, new webcam coming up soon, so that's good.
All right, very good.
And,
You'll be
yeah,
spot on.
yeah. Hopefully, I'll become a proper YouTuber. I'm not sure.
Oh, is your internet better now?
Yeah.
Yeah. You said you're getting a Wi-Fi thing. Is that what you're using
Yeah,
now?
that guy's not picking up the call now.
What?
After yeah, he's not picking up the call. I don't know why people do this, but
all of these
I mean,
troubles.
the same thing happened with the rabbits. Okay, like one day they said like, oh, tomorrow I'm gonna come right to your home and they'll deliver it to you. It's like, and he doesn't pick up the call the next day. It's like, why? And then it's like, yeah, people don't really have time sense. Like, I don't know, like they gave me this time slot. Okay, not to mention, but even this same thing happened with my presentation in my college as well. The time sense was so bad. Like they give me 1 hour slot and it happens 5 days later. It's like, oh no.
Yeah. I hate that.
Yeah.
When people say like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, we'll do this at this time," and then they just like drop off the map, you're like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something you've invested in, like money, especially.
Yeah,
Like,
so much. I mean, for me, okay, it costed about $4-ish, which is a lot. Like at least in India, it's a lot. Like no one would actually. I mean, people thought it was crazy. Someone else in the same shop when they were fixing the CPU, they'll be like, "Why did you buy this huge one? You could have got the smaller one with the small space one." It's like, yeah, I could have actually.
But I didn't.
Yeah, my father tried to explain him what exactly I'm using it for. I said like, don't bother, it's fine.
I've had small computers in the past. I'm a real sucker for ITX cases and getting things as small as possible.
Yeah.
And they just end up getting, no matter how hard you try, you're always going to have a noisier computer than just having a box even just a little bit bigger, because
Yeah.
I mean,
everything's in the new
yeah,
airflow.
it looks so cool, by the way. Like, I mean, the pictures, the lighting, and everything in the dark, especially. Oh my God, this is the first time I got like this huge PC, so I'm just uh talking about it, probably.
I can't
Yeah,
wait
it
to
looks
see what
really
you
good.
actually make with it. You know, you've been doing wonderful stuff with just a humble laptop. So as soon as you
Yeah,
get your hands on that
I mean,
horsepower,
my friend, like my mom said, like, can you give the whole laptop to me? Then I was like, no, I want it. I want it to be there. I learned Blender in this. I opened Blender for the first time in this laptop. Actually, I started 3D in this laptop for the first time though. So it's kind of emotionally connected to me. So I was like, okay, fine. I'm not gonna give it to anyone. Oh my God. But yeah,
Yeah.
upgrade will be really nice. Yeah, you can expect good stuff from me in the future then. More tutorials, courses,
Yeah.
probably.
It'll be such a sigh of relief when you finally get it back.
Yeah, it's just like I don't have to wait because it's adaptive subdivisions most of the time with procedural displacement. So I don't have to wait for like 1 minute to basically show what is the next step after just tweaking a single value. It'll be real time. I tested out my bricks and it was real time. At least with optics, it was amazing. Like, yeah, this is what I wanted. I was actually like kind of concerned that, I mean, when they said like, okay, 3060 was assigned to you, I was like, what 3060? I asked them for like 2070 Super because that's what Eren is using at the moment.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let me at least get to the Eren's level today. Maybe next I'll try to upgrade it. They'll be like, okay. And they said like, okay, 3060 is available. Do you want to take it? I was like, yes. And they
Yeah.
did say it was 3060 Ti. I was like, oh yes, let's go.
that's a very good card.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, let's go. They said like, oh, 3060 with 12 gigs. I was like, what? No, there's no 3060 Ti with 12 gigs. And I asked them to cross check it. It's like, I'm sorry, it is 3060. It's not 3060 Ti. It's like something is better than nothing, so just give
Yeah.
it to me.
Oh well, for 12 gigs as well of VRAM, you can start doing.
Yeah,
You do complex scenes once you
yeah,
pile up those shaders on top of one another. So
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I've been like researching more about render engines because I tried Cycles Realism. Oh my God, I know I love Cycles, but it's so hard to use. I mean, at least I'm trying to push the limits. I mean, maybe I'm not actually that skilled with actually understanding a complete material, but then slowly when I keep researching it, it's getting better. I'm talking to more people about a particular material, how they think about it and everything. But Cycles is having a hard time with me. I don't know. It's not that compatible with my thinking. So it's like, okay, let me search for other render engines. And I tried Octane with Blender and it's amazing. Like, uh, there's the only thing which bothers me is the lack of math node. It's like, and vector math node is like, okay, fine. I can't actually do what I do completely procedural. I have to use image structures. But then talking about render engines, today I had a lot of free time. Like it is Sunday and I didn't want to do anything because after the foot texture that I made recently, I think it's in the work in progress as well. I took a break because I watched like about 20 to 30 videos about optics, how it reacts with light, and it really helped. Like honestly, I think I have a better understanding of how light reacts with materials now. But Cycles, we had to do some calculation ourselves as well. We're using math nodes and everything. It was like okay, but then because it's not completely photorealistic engine, like I mean, it can if you push the limits and if you know exactly what parameters to consider while doing a material. Right off the bat, you just can't get it. Even though if you use PPI textures, it quite doesn't look right, even with really good lighting. Sometimes, okay, I'm not saying like I mean at least when I tried it, maybe, but when I tried Octane, immediately I got the effect like this is what exactly I want it to look like. Like okay, Octane is good. Then RenderMan. I was actually going through RenderMan. When you get into RenderMan, the Pixar RenderMan, the first thing they'll talk about is the scientific side of it, like going to the micro level and okay, this is exactly what happens when you see in the macro level. But in the micro level, everything is rough. So this is what it actually calculates. So it's more realistic. I was like, oh yeah, I wish I can actually, and also supports open shading language as well, so you can actually code your own procedural textures and use them. But I mean, we do have open shading language in Cycles as well, but the problem is it's CPU based.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no. Yeah,
I
I wish.
sorry,
Yeah,
speaking of render engines, last week I was playing with Lux Render, I think it is.
LexCore. Yeah, LexCore.
LuxCore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the difference when you're rendering something out that's got glass or jewelry in it
Yes.
is
Oh my god,
night and
phenomenal.
day. Just getting a basic Suzanne
Yeah.
and then having cycles and then having exactly the same scene but with LuxCore render, you actually get all the little facets of light that you would get with convergence,
Caustics.
divergence. Yeah, the
Oh
core.
my god, the caustics. It's
And I was like,
amazing. It's almost real time, basically,
I was just like,
with
oh
LexCore.
yeah, this is what it should look like. Ah, but really, that's very specific. I'm putting a glass Suzanne in the middle of a scene and lighting with a spotlight, so it is a very niche use case. So
Yeah.
I don't know
I
how
mean,
I don't know how
also,
it would handle a full scene. I'm sure it would handle it
yeah.
absolutely fine, to be honest.
I mean, most of the, I mean, industry standard render engines are BRDFs. They're not BSDFs. So they're bidirectional light scattering something. I don't know. I have to like actually learn more about it now. But yeah, I mean, we could actually like, I mean, all I'm trying to say is Cycles need some love from the developers, please. Oh my God, like, yeah.
All right, we'll
EV is getting
petition.
better though. Yeah, we need petition. God,
Yeah.
please.
All right. So Arturo, what have you been doing recently?
I yeah, I put together I've been working on a couple different projects. Been working on virtual production, which I hope to wrap up by like mid of this week. Just setting up a basic Unreal scene where I can have multiple cameras in real life or real time mapped to virtual cameras. I've already done that with one and it looks good, but I want to take it one step up and be able to have the background move with the appropriate amount of parallax. I've put together a document, which is slightly a plug, for some very basic level questions and answers, frequently asked questions on crypto. So if you're curious about the things that we've been talking about here in regards to NFT or non-fungible tokens or blockchain, or what is Bitcoin, what's Ethereum, what are all these things, you can go to bit.ly/crypto-explainer. Don't worry about it. I'll drop it in the comments. And it's just only primary sources with a very basic question and answer format. So if you're trying to get up to speed in this world, you can do that. Been helping Ellie, who's been working on a piece at the moment that they're going to mint. I believe they're going to do that on one of the Tezos-based blockchain, Tezos-based, NFT marketplaces. I'm working on a project for a client that I can't talk too much about, which is kind of cool because it's some augmented reality stuff. And then working on the augmented reality game with my friend Spencer. What's up, Spencer, if you're watching this? So it's a lot of different projects. I got my shot, got my first COVID vaccine on Friday.
Nice.
So if I appear, if I'm a bit like, if I look tired, it's because I feel tired. But I'm not actually tired, but I am kind of tired. So that's me.
Have you had any other kind of symptoms? Feeling a bit headachy?
No, I was extremely achy about 45 minutes after the shot. The first 15 minutes after it was fine. Then about 45 minutes to an hour in, I just started feeling like I'd been like just bruised and beaten on my left arm because that's where I got it. My clavicle and like my neck started to ache, and then had aches all over up until like the morning after. Now I just feel tired. I feel like I'm trying to find a PG way of putting this, but yeah, I just feel like I've just been drugged without any of the benefits.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel good. I think Aaron put it well and said that they felt like they had flu symptoms minus the congestion. That's pretty much what it's felt like for me.
Right. Yeah, it was interesting. I think I'm getting mine in a couple of weeks. My second one in a couple of weeks or a few weeks. So I'll be interested to see whether that has any reaction again. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the other arm for sure, just to even it out. You know.
Yeah,
I like that.
I'm not sure how much of it is actually the actual needle though, because I've had lots of jabs for being like a little bit vulnerable, and I found that the worst one I had was a pneumococcal one, which was apparently quite bad anyway, just in terms of like aching. But I had 2 jabs done at the same time. They did one in one arm and one in the other, and they said, right, you know, that one's done, can you hold up the kind of like cotton to it or whatever? So I did that, and obviously your arm's tensing when you're doing that. So then when they did the second one, I mean, that was terrible. Like for a week afterwards, I couldn't lift my arm up properly. And I was thinking, right, is that actually the jab? Or is it because the muscles were slightly tensed, like when I was doing that? So whenever I get my jab done, I always make sure that it's the most kind of relaxed it can possibly be. So it's just easy. So I wonder how much of that aching is actually the jab.
Well,
I
guess.
Yeah.
Hey
Okay.
Kev, I didn't feel all that much. I've been like pretty. I think the most recent one I had to get a tetanus shot, not for any like risk or anything, but I was due for a tetanus shot in January. And that one was fine, but this one I just started immediately feeling like the swelling. And I don't know, you said you don't know how much of it was the jab. I don't know how much of it was just me hyping myself up to you know, just like, oh, I'm getting the COVID vaccine, you know, everybody's been saying that they're feeling the tires, you know, and it's like
which vaccine
one
did you
did you-
get? Yeah.
I got the one that gives me a direct link to Bill Gates. No,
Right.
that's a joke. That is a joke, and that is not factual information. I got Pfizer.
Right. Okay, that's different to the one I got then. I had the AstraZeneca one.
And then
I got
Kev, you had I won't steal it
J&J.
from you. Yeah, you had J&J.
All right.
One and done.
So we'll see who grows a third arm first.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
interesting. Or a
I got the
mixed
chills,
batch.
man. I was like, I was down for a day.
Interesting.
I felt, yeah, I totally felt like I never had I've never, to my knowledge, memory, have had any vaccine issues at all. Like I've never had a reaction, except for like maybe like, you know, dead arm for a day. But man, this one just, I was like, wow, it's
Perhaps
working.
I should sort of prepare
It's all the-
myself, book a day off, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Get a tub of Ben and Jerry's.
It's all the
to go along with
shampoo.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the AstraZeneca one I felt nothing until the night. I had it about like 11, half 11 in the morning. And then when I was going to bed, that's when I got like a bad headache. And that lasted for like 2 days. But then ibuprofen got rid of that. But then I'm remembering now that I did have kind of hot flushes. And I was like, when I felt, because I've never had that before. And I was like, what is that? Like, I just feel like the room has increased like by 10 degrees and then it just goes away. I was like, whoa, that's weird.
It's your menopause.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So there's this is
all
what I
go
was
through it.
told,
Kidding.
and so do your research. But from my understanding, part what the vaccine, at least this Pfizer one, does is it looks for inflammation. And so if you're taking Advil specifically, which is which kind of counteracts that, then you can kind of undo what the vaccine, not necessarily fully what the vaccine is trying to do, but there's something there. You know, if the vaccine specifically is looking for some form of inflammation, and then you're taking something that just makes you not get inflammation, I don't know. So do your research. This is not medical advice, but just just be careful what you're putting into your body, especially right after getting vaccinated. If you're getting vaccinated, which
Yeah, I
you
mean
should.
the mRNA is just messenger RNA that is just like encoded, and it just enters this like it's just the instructions, so it's just messenger RNA versus like the Johnson and Johnson, that's an adenovirus, that's actually, you know, a virus that doesn't do anything to you except for elicit an immune response. But they're 2 different ways of delivering that information into your cells, so that it tricks your cells into making the spike protein for coronavirus. So the it's just two different delivery mechanisms. I don't know if Advil or ibuprofen or acetaminophen or even aspirin have any effect on that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, just look it up, but look it up from
Yeah, just,
reputable sources. Don't look it up from like
yeah,
that person you went to high school with on Facebook who does their research.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
look it
or
up
me.
from medical.
Mhm.
Yeah, or just ask the people. You know, it's worth asking. Just put
Yeah,
it
it's
in your
worth
back
asking.
pocket.
Yeah, ask your doctor. I mean, yeah, I haven't seen any adverse stuff. I took ibuprofen the next day because I was like, I'm getting this awesome reaction, but I can't work. So I'm like, I have to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kept having just dreams of the Windows screen.
Yeah, it was really weird, man. I was
It
like,
was so weird.
yeah,
Just the meadows.
Like the
Yeah.
Teletubbies one, the green hill with a
Yeah,
blue
the
sky.
Green Hill. Yeah.
yeah. And there's just one ubiquitous letter from the alphabet that comes before R that kept flashing in my head too.
I had a
was
sudden
curious about
urge to donate to a certain charity, and I don't know why.
it. Yeah.
Oh my god, we shouldn't. Like, we're gonna end up, you know, under the videos, but like conspiracy videos, like YouTube starts picking up notice, like false information.
We're totally getting one of those.
Yeah. Hey Rob,
Hi
Hey,
guys.
dude.
Hey,
we're talking about
decoded.
vaccines.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah.
What's up, Rob?
Hello, Rob. Hi.
How's it going?
Yeah, not bad.
Everything's fine.
Have you been jabbed, Rob?
No, not yet.
Ah, okay.
It'll be July, I think, before I'll get mine.
Ah, alright then.
Probably about the same time for me. Yeah.
Hmm. Wait, what about you, Sharon? Any news about that?
No, nothing related to it
Hmm.
yet. But all people are getting vaccinated, some places, and government employees as well.
Government
not like-
employees.
Yeah, because my mom is going to school, and it's not at all safe.
Right.
So she has to get vaccinated as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, people are actually like backing off because of the symptoms after vaccination. But yeah, it's a good thing to try it as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I was welcoming the reaction to that shot. I mean, personally, I mean, the people I was in line with, you know, we were on overflow line because they don't want to waste any of the vaccine. They wanted to get it in as many arms as possible. So they were taking standby. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's they have little waiting rooms, or not waiting rooms, but had mine at Fenway Park in Boston, and you just sit in an observation like aisle for 15 minutes so they can make sure that you don't have an allergic reaction. And I must have looked. I mean, I was messaging you all when like right after I got it, sending photos of the stadium and stuff. But somebody who was working there came up to me and was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, yeah, I mean, I was feeling fine, but I was like, do I not look okay? So suddenly I got worried. And then she's like, yeah, no, I'm just checking in. Are you allergic to anything? And I was like, no, absolutely nothing in my whole life. And then we both kind of like had a moment of pause where I think we were both kind of thinking like, it would be awful if this was the one thing that I'm allergic to, wouldn't it? So then she's like, you should wait. And I was like, yeah, I think I will. So I waited my 15 minutes, did my time, and then walked off. But I think like Mike said, you know, if you since you already know and you've already heard from us, your reputable sources, that there might be some symptoms, just prepare with some ice cream and you'll be fine.
Yes. I understand how
Well,
like symptoms can scare people off, right? But people need to be aware that, you know, it's a very temporary thing and it's absolutely worthwhile.
Yep.
Yeah. I personally felt it was worthwhile. I'm like, yeah, bring it on. You know, I was just like, it means it's working. You know,
yeah.
I'd
I'm
like
now
it now
working.
just so I can get it over and done with, to be quite honest.
Yeah. I did a little video for myself that I've been doing a couple of them where I just, when it feels right, I'll pick up my phone and just record. It's for me in the future. And I've already seen one back from last year. I was like, I'm glad I recorded that. But it was right before I got the shot where, you know, like my commitment to myself is to continue wearing a mask even after I get my second vaccination until like I'm 100% sure and everyone's 100% sure that that it's safe not to anymore, right? Because I think that's a big part of the concerns as well, right? Is people that are now you can't really tell, you know. Now you have to be like, hey, pull out your vaccination card if you're not wearing a mask, you know.
Hmm.
But you'll have people walking around, and I think that's one of my concerns, at least, is just knowing that there might be people out there who are not wearing their masks, but saying that they've been vaccinated when they haven't, and they're just like, oh, this is my pass to not wear a mask.
Yeah.
It's not. It's really not, and it's doing kind of a disservice to the health of your community.
Yeah,
don't.
I'll still wear a mask until it's all gone. I mean, it's just there's a reason we're doing it. That's
I
fine.
like it.
Mm.
I don't want to
Yeah.
see your faces. It's
Yeah.
like it's been good. It's been good for me.
I like being a ninja.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to wear masks like on the train and tubes, like well before the pandemic started, because it's just
Oh yeah.
freaking gross on there, like just full of people, way too close. And
Oh man, I remember New York. Wow. Yeah.
so I always wanted to wear it, but I was like, well, I'm introverted, so I don't want people staring at me wearing a mask. So,
Yeah.
but now I can.
No, it's great.
Yeah, no, it's great.
We watched it yesterday, chapter 1, which I had already seen, but like now I feel like every time I watch a film and I just see, the before times, I'm like, oh God, everyone's standing so close together. Like, just get away from each other.
I know. It's so bizarre how
yeah.
1 year can just change everything.
You
Mm.
know,
You
I
just
don't
think
want to.
about all the things that we've done kind of in the past. Sorry, Mike, like just restaurants, and going to places now where people are not keeping 6 feet distance and they're small and contained. And I'm like, when in the before times, what was this like? Because now they're having people, to some semblance of distancing. But, what was this? Because we just found the new like spot to go get coffee at.
I
And
like
it's so
coffee.
tiny. It's good. It's so tiny though, and so I'm wondering, like, what did this look like before the pandemic? Because it must have just been people like stacked next to each other.
It may. I don't want to predict a bad outcome in the future, but it may be a new norm. That's always a possibility. If this might be a kind of a wake-up call that the way that we pack ourselves together like sardines might not be that good for us. So perhaps it'll be a bit of a wake-up call, and maybe people will continue working from home. Is fantastic if you've got the facilities for it. I mean, suddenly you don't have to drive half as much as you used to. I mean, I obviously
Oh, yeah.
I work from home the majority of the time now anyway. But I used to go around and I used to be 8 to 12 hours on the road going to people's homes fixing their computers.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say.
the moment I started doing what I do now, that was suddenly I had hours and hours of, well, not free time because I filled it, but it was amazing how tired I was from just driving around the commute, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think there'll be hopefully, I mean, some of this stuff will be for the best. People won't have a stressful commutes where they don't need to, and life well-being increases, if that's a phrase I can use there. So I think there are a lot of positives to come out of this. Whether or not we ever huddle together closely, BlenderNest scrum at the next Blender conference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's been crazy. Like I balance the good with the bad, right? Because I have a friend who died of COVID last month, and it's horrible, right? And his family's just, I mean, they're just such great people, and he was such a good guy, and it's atrocious. It's horrible. And on one hand, so I'm struggling with like the tragedy of it, you know. And I was relatively close to it, luckily, like not in the family member close, but a friend. And it it's a nightmare. And then on the other hand, the working from home, not commuting, um, the rebalancing your life type stuff has been a net positive. So it's like it's just this yin yang of extremes in the last year. But the things that I do hope we come away with is that we can do hybrid models, because people were commuting for stupid reasons. I mean, just getting on a plane, crossing the country just for a 15-minute meeting, like that's insane, right? So like I mean, and that was happening all the time, and I saw it. I did it. I did some of those shotgun trips, and it's so much better to not have to do that now.
And you mentioned the conference. I do wonder, like, talking about how this will last into the future. I wonder what the next Blender conference will look like. because I imagine that people might be a bit scared, like going into large groupings of people now. Everyone just
Yeah.
wearing masks and talking about Blender the conference abilities. Might be kind of interesting.
I think it'll
And if-
last for a year or 2 years, and then it'll be gone, and we'll be raging back to close quarters stuff. It just if you I went, and this is my personal opinion. Like, don't take it for anything, but after 9/11 in New York, everybody was like so cool with each other and unified and everything, and it lasted like a year, and then people were like cutting each other off in traffic, flipping the bird, beating each other up. It was just human
I mean, it's
nature.
certainly possible to have the conference. I mean, it would be like double space seating, like it is at most venues and things like
Mhm.
that at the moment. But it wouldn't be the same.
There will be, I mean, hopefully people will be just self-regulating and social distancing to keep each other safe, but also I imagine that there will be like NFT artists seating and non-NFT artists.
That
I don't think so.
Oh man.
I don't think so. They'll allow NFT artists anyway because Blender people are kind of completely against it. I mean, I
Well,
see the tweets they make, so it's kind of like that.
I think
NFT
people,
and non-NFT. That I'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone saw that Ton put out a little comic on Twitter, kind of making
Yeah,
fun
I
of the
saw
whole
that.
thing.
That was funny.
No, I didn't see that. I have to look.
Below Dawn.
I'm still not directly picking sides. Mr. Ambiguity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remain ambiguous myself too.
I don't. I remain on the side of being informed before making any vocalizing any opinions on the matter, and I think that a lot of people
Yeah.
do the same. But like, I mean, being truly deeply informed, not just I read something on Medium, I read something on Twitter, and now I have a decision.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, has everyone seen Daniel's video with the Mr. Beast?
Oh
playback?
yeah, that's really
Yeah.
good.
No, I haven't.
Well
yet. I
edited.
didn't
Ah,
realize
that's
it
good.
dropped.
3
Yeah,
months
it's
of
good.
work. It's
That's
completely.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
The amount of work they put
I mean,
into it.
I mean, he didn't put out the fails, which is good, but then I really want to see the number of fails that they recorded as well. It's insane, like the number of times they tried and they failed when Daniel was saying it. But yeah, it is completely worth it. It was amazing at the end, so yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta make Mr. Beast.
That's
And
like
which is
next
like,
level.
yes.
It's phenomenal the amount of work that goes into just managing a project like that, let alone actually doing it as well.
I hope the algorithm showers on the video as well because it's still in the very beginnings of it, so I'm just waiting.
Oh, it'll blow up.
Yeah, it will eventually.
Yeah.
I've been beset with technical problems. That's why I've missed the last few of these. Like, I had the webcam software that I used stopped working randomly, so I had to go back to the beta version.
Right.
And then I had a problem with my microphone, so I got this new mic, which works fine, but it interferes somehow with the Bluetooth for my headphones. I think it's because it's got a mic out on the microphone, a headphone out, sorry, so you can listen to your own audio. So that kind of tries to hijack the signal.
Right.
So as soon as I turn the microphone on, it disconnects the Bluetooth earphones, and then the driver stops working. So
damn.
I've had a bit of a nightmare with this.
RIP headphone users.
Yeah, that's very strange. We just got a bunch of noise come through now.
Oh my god.
It absolutely sucks having hardware issues.
I know.
If anybody's got an AMD-based system, which is anybody in recent times probably has an AMD-based system, there's a AMD. It's called an Aegis update. It's from AMD themselves.
Right.
Some 3000 series processors have a crackling effect on USB microphones or USB audio in general. And it was and I had it for ages and ages and ages, and I managed to work my way around it by, I think, luck more than anything else. But if you do have any crackling audio, it can be because of that. And I think there's an update being rolled out to the motherboards at the moment. That's a firmware update, so it's not for inexperienced people to do because it can brick a system. But
is it a BIOS update?
Yeah, it's a BIOS update. Yeah, that it should go without a hitch, but I'm not going to tell anybody on stream. Go update your BIOS today. Nothing possibly can go wrong.
Yeah. Nothing dangerous with that.
Hmm.
I ran into any issues with all the cabling and stuff to get that up. Like, so while I appreciate everyone else's efforts into making this look as professional as possible, I just I couldn't be bothered. So I'm doing it on my phone. But
At least it's not inverted today, so.
yeah, I know. I'll today. Don't worry.
Just before I jumped on there, it's like the gain went ridiculous for some reason.
Yeah.
I did a quick test and all of us, like I thought it was working. I was about to jump on, and then the gain was just insane for some reason. So I restarted, and I thought that had fixed it.
There's always some kind of issue, isn't there? Like
there always is.
There's always something.
This stuff can never be straightforward.
I find it amazing. Things like streaming. It doesn't matter how good your internet is, or how well you've set everything up. I've had streams go perfect when I've just jumped on, press go, all worked. And I've had streams that have just completely failed, and audio problems and visual problems. And the only difference was nothing between the two.
That's a fun one.
Yeah. Okay.
I wonder if it's got something to do with the actual connection of it. Like
it does sound like it at this point.
It does sound like it's a physical thing.
The way that he did something at the top and it went all funky.
For some reason, like even it was like 10%, okay, the level of audio, the output, I can still hear it so loudly in my ears when the noise comes.
Yeah, have you ever done the thing with the whatever these audio cables are called, where you're kind of pulling it out a bit and then turning it around and just a kind of like noise?
Yes.
Kind of sounds like that.
Yeah, the quarter inch.
The white noise.
Yeah.
I used to get a jack cable. That's you've got a tiny jack, a 3/4 jack, and if you touch the end, you earth it. So you go dum. You get the whatever the AC hum is. And yes, I've sat there in a band years ago. Mike, stop it! Plug the guitar in.
Or when you take like an SM58 mic and you just put it right in front of your amp, and then you move it away, and then you do it, you're like, and the audience's like ears start bleeding.
Yes, feedback. Do you want feedback?
Yeah, or you take your guitar and put it right up to your amp.
I had a weird thing a while back. This will probably sound quite dangerous, but I've got like a kind of a long extension block for my power in the room, and everything's plugged into this block. It's quite a long one, and my old computer is by my feet, and I think I kind of knocked the power cable for the old computer at one point, just slightly, just like moved it. It was still plugged in, but I just moved the cable, and one of my monitors cut out. And this is a computer I'm not using down below. I'm like, wait, hold on. Touching that power cable makes this monitor flick when this is plugged into that computer, but it's powered in on a separate part of the block. And I got really concerned because I'm like, wait, hold on. Am I disrupting the flow of electricity between the whole block just by moving this cable slightly? So I ended up unplugging it all. I was like, oh damn, that's
probably you have probably you have high voltage,
Yeah.
So it's kind of like wants to flow in you.
I was concerned. I was like, wait, by moving my foot, could I be like damaging the computer, like the new one?
No. You've just reminded me of a little anecdote from back in the days when I was fixing computers. So I'd often try and help people out over the phone where possible. Have you tried turning it off and on again? Have you checked the cables? And I remember going to see this chap who was absolutely certain he'd checked everything. And on some blocks you have an on-off switch for the entire block. Well, he had stretched his legs out and turned that off. That was an expensive switch flick.
Oh my gosh!
Wow!
I literally turned up, went in, flicked the switch, it came on, and I was like, "Is there anything else I can help you with?"
Wow!
We had a cup of tea and a good natter, but
the same thing happened. Like it's not something huge, but I was working very seriously. Okay. And this laptop doesn't work without electricity, and it is plugged to the spike. So because I didn't have much space on the tables, I thought I can just move the spike a little to the other side, and I hold it in the wrong side so that the switch was switched off immediately, and the whole progress got lost.
Oh no!
Yeah, it happened thrice this week, and I was like, "Oh, please, not again!" So I'm not touching it.
We have a system where we have several screens and several computers connected to allow for like Zoom room, so a conference kind of like this one, but at scale.
They look amazing, by the way.
Yeah, it works really well, and it's been cleaned up since. But the story I was going to tell was from the first couple of tests, where I just walked in, and it was kind of like we were having people who weren't there for the entire setup of this new arrangement walk through it to see if we could suss out any issues, and I couldn't for the life of me get a couple of screens turned on. And long story short, it just ended up being that there's a power switch that I just didn't know for an outlet. I mean, it's not in like the traditional place where you would normally find one. I'm just going to do a quick little visual here for people. Wait, now you're stuck with my face this way. Where are we going?
Perfect.
All right. So normally you have the switch right here. And if I flick this, it's going to turn off my PlayStation and a bunch of stuff. So I won't do it. But it's normally here. The one that I was looking for, though, that I couldn't find, was like embedded into like this side.
Oh wow!
Yeah, your boy didn't know that, so I couldn't
Wow.
find it, and I spent like an hour looking and testing everything and reconnecting stuff. And then someone's like, "Did you try using this?" And I hadn't. So
Wow.
it happens. I had something Blender related, since we're talking about random shit. Blender's looking for a generalist.
Yep.
Yes.
So if you haven't seen that job posting yet, you should definitely go check it out. Studio looking for a skilled 3D generalist to join the team for the Sprite Fright project. It's blender.org/jobs. So if you think you've got what it takes, and even if you don't, you should apply.
Yep. Work in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's on site. Is it on site in Amsterdam?
I'm not sure. I know that Sketchfab, Rec Room, which is a virtual reality sort of like hub experience, and who else? Like Blender, Sketchfab, Rec Room, and there was another one that I'm forgetting right now that I'll remember and then interrupt you all to let you know, are also hiring. So if you're within the space, if you watch the podcast, you're interested in these things, you know a little bit about, Sketchfab 3D modeling, or like you're interested in virtual reality stuff, I definitely recommend that you check them out, because not only are those companies and organizations run by really cool people, some of whom I've had the opportunity to interface with and interact with, but they also offer remote opportunities, competitive salaries, benefits, and all that stuff. So if you are sitting down here watching this video wondering, damn, should I really be listening to these guys blab on about stuff, or should I be applying for a job? You can do both. You really can do both. And the best way to do both is actually to hit subscribe, because if you're not already subscribed to the channel, you won't get notified. So if you hit subscribe and then you hit the bell, then you'll get even more notified. And if you hit like, you won't get notified, but we'll get notified, and then we'll smile like this. So just be sure you do that, so that more people get to see this beautiful face and this awesome content that we're putting out.
Yeah, I should give a bit of a shout out to Sketchfab since you mentioned them. They are like super nice people, and a couple of them are, I think, the reason why my channel is maybe the size it is now, although I had the confidence to carry on. So Bart Veldhuizen, I don't know how to pronounce his last name properly, I'm sorry, Bart, and Louis Cherubini, those two people have been so super nice and supportive. So definitely worth shooting them a message if you're interested.
Great.
Is Bart the same person in Blender Nation?
He runs Blender Nation,
Yeah.
What's about these sort of places and kind of the space that we're in is that Sketchfab specifically, and I believe Rec Room too, but just do your research as always. They offer like open positions. So what does this mean? This means that even if you don't necessarily fit into one of the positions that they have open, you can actually apply just by submitting your portfolio and submitting some proof of work, and even maybe like sometimes like a CV, or just generally like a paragraph about what you're interested in doing. And so maybe you're the kind of person that doesn't necessarily have like a fixed role that you'd be interested in doing, but you would be interested in working at a place like Sketchfab. I'm not getting paid to say this. I haven't gotten paid by Sketchfab, but I work with a lot of their like free 3D models, and it's just a great website, right? And so how cool would it be to not necessarily have a role, but be like, hey, can you find something that I can help out with in some way? That's the beauty of sort of tech and open source more generally, but I digress.
Yeah. I was going to say Sketchfab are the only people I've accepted like a proper sponsorship offer from. I do affiliates mostly. I don't really do sponsorships, but I did one for Sketchfab, and they're so nice about it because they were like, "Look, whenever you want to do another one, just let us know, and then that'll be it." Like it's very like
Nice.
free form. I love them.
Nice.
I would say I haven't been paid, but I have, but not for this. But Sketchfab, go! Woohoo! Yeah, what were you gonna say, Sharon?
Yeah, it's a complete tangent talking about technical difficulties. Every time I join a voice call, sometimes the green thing pops up, while people are talking,
Mm-hmm.
and all my voice and everything will be perfect. I mean, I can hear them, but they can't hear me. That's because I turned on push to talk like the thingy, push to talk, and I keep forgetting it so many times. And I had to I did restarting 2, 3, 4 times, I guess, one day, and then I realized it's push to talk.
Can anyone hear?
Can you guys hear me, by the way? Oh my god!
Oh man!
Arturo. Oh man! Never mind.
I've done that
Never
so many
mind.
times
Trolling.
in games. I mean, I can't push another button in a game to talk. It's just
Yeah.
not
Okay.
happening.
I got tricked.
Oh, there's a guy on my server called True Beast. When I did my live stream the other day, my second live stream on the channel, I asked people if they could hear me because something went a bit weird, and like everyone was saying yes, but as soon as he said no, I was like, wait, what? Like, despite all the yeses, it's like, oh, he's just trolling. Hate it.
Rob, is your setup working yet?
No, I can't hear you,
yeah.
Rob. That's honestly, this is true. We can't really hear you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you think going on YouTube or doing any video stuff is easy, this is the stuff we deal with every day.
There's always a problem. There's always
It's always
Yeah.
something going
Technical
on.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
About to ask you, if you want to power through and fix it. Sometimes, even with the right attitude, you'll power through and try to fix it and get all the right pieces in place, and it just won't work. Sometimes it's the
you
best.
have to turn yourself off and then
Yeah.
wake up again the next day.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of the times it's not you that's the problem. I mean, we mentioned like BIOS updates. I remember doing an update, just a simple update for one of my NVIDIA cards, just like a driver update. Updated it, computer black screened, and just like wouldn't come back on again. I was like, you have one job. You have one job in distributing those drivers. It's literally your hardware. I haven't done anything but push the button. Like, come on.
I know.
I would really, really love to move back to Pop OS. Not only is Blender a lot quicker, it's a fork of Ubuntu, but it comes already preloaded with all of the, in this case, NVIDIA drivers. So you don't need to faff around installing all of that lot. Blender's a lot faster with it, but there's just enough that I do with Windows that I just can't deal with the hassle of Linux. Audio on Linux can be very, very annoying. Frustrating. But the reliability, I've had Windows updates come on. I'm like, no, do it later tonight, and then it updates in the middle of recording and says, we're shutting down your computer now. It's like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I kill all of that in the registry. My computer doesn't update unless I allow it to. The services are turned off. There's a group policy saying I can't update. It still finds ways to turn itself on. Every so often there's something that
This
you
is
have
a
to
critical update.
update with Microsoft, like for, I don't know, if you download a game from the Xbox store or something, it sneaks in all these changes, it goes through, and it's like, we're going to turn back on all of these. I use a tool, I can't remember what it's called, Shut Up or something like that, where you can change all your privacy settings in Windows 10. But when you turn it back on, it shows you all the changes that have been made last time, like since you ran it the last time. And Microsoft just goes, just turn everything on, turn all of the things back on. It's like, what is the point in having privacy settings?
I know.
It's just going to override.
Yeah. Are you sure you don't want us to track you?
Yeah.
We're going to ask again next week.
Windows Defender turns out back on, updates back on.
Yeah.
All the telemetry stuff goes back on.
So weird, the stuff that they do by default in Windows now, because I've mentioned it on this before, but like Python, and for some reason it doesn't happen with like everyone's installed, but it's the one gripe that I've always been complaining about. Because like I go to install Python when I get like a new Windows build, I install it, I type in like the environment
variables.
environment variable has been set up, right? It's there in the list. I go into my shell, my command prompt, whatever, I type in Python, it opens up the Windows store. I'm like, why? Like I've installed it manually, I've got the environment variable, it's pointing to this. Why is it opening the Windows store? And it's because somewhere in the registry or whatever, there's another environment variable for Python to point to the Windows store. And you can turn that off. I think they added a bit in the settings where you can turn off these additional features and whatever. But I'm like,
why did they even name
why?
it
The only
Python?
people that are going to download Python are the ones that know where to get it. Come on.
Exactly. It's such bloat.
I know.
I thought
Never
about my new
mind.
system build, just throwing Linux on there and just running with Linux, but
I've tried some dual build as well. You know, you run Linux and then you switch over to Windows if you need to do something else. One of the things that really held me back, I think, was Resolve. Now, you can get Resolve running on Linux, but there's all sorts of little quirks. Like we take being able to play an MP4 back for granted because Windows or Microsoft or Apple have paid for the license to use MP4. Linux doesn't have that, so you end up in a position with. Last time I tried it, Resolve, so a video editing program, would load up the video and the audio, and you could see that it was there, but you couldn't see the video.
Wow.
And eventually I managed to get the video working, but MP3 is also a proprietary format.
Oh, man.
So I got the video working and the sound not, and I was like, you know what, I'm going back to Windows, because after spending 3 or 4 days on that, and I got everything set up, it was so snappy, so fast, so responsive, and I couldn't get the video editing working. And then I think back to now, and my video editor's my partner, and she's busy with her degree at the moment, so I'm taking on that back myself. But I got to a point where I was almost like, you know what, I could go back to using Pop! OS at this point because I'm not editing anymore, or I'm editing it on a different machine. And I was like, no, something will go wrong. This sounds too good to be true.
The only reason I use Windows rather than Linux or Mac is because all I want to do is make stuff, play games, and talk to people. And I think Windows is the only one that lets me do all of those things properly, especially the play games. So
Linux is getting a lot better with games, but you don't want to be left out. Warzone or whatever comes up, and you're like, oh, I can't run it.
Yeah.
So can we play Minecraft on Linux? That's the main thing. That's the main question.
Pretty sure it can play Minecraft.
Pretty sure.
Wow.
Minecraft.
I used Linux once for a project. It was good, but then again, it crashes a lot sometimes with some things, at least.
Yeah, almost everything at work is Linux.
It's a tweaker's paradise, though. If you enjoy that sort of thing where you're going into the settings and you're actually optimizing things, it's like like people who get in a car and they just want to fuel it and press the go button, press the go pedal, and off you go. That's different from someone who wants to take the car apart and know what a carburetor is, or if those even exist anymore, an injector and all that lot. So it's a big difference in attitude and personality towards a system. And I can't myself. I kind of sit on the fence. I love tweaking things. I love hardware, software, and then I'm like, yeah, I've got real work to do as well.
Yeah.
It's at that point where you don't have the time to admin your own system all the time. It's too much overhead.
Side computer, yes. Main computer, no. That's my stance.
That's one thing I found out in the past. I've tried to run a laptop and a desktop, especially when I've been more portable. Never works out. You end up having one machine that sits there doing nothing all the time.
Something that I've done too, because I also tried that with some degree of success. But for a good 4 months, my laptop was just a way for me to interface with my desktop. So it's just remoting it the desktop, which was fine. It works out great. But I was like, I'll just separate this stuff onto the laptop and only do it on the laptop, and this stuff on the desktop. But then there's one thing that you can only use in this program. And also I was doing a Mac and Windows, where the desktop was Windows, laptop was Mac, and it just never works out the way you think.
I've even tried getting really geeky. I think it's called a domain registration, where you actually set up a computer to have all of your like files and everything else on an installation, and your app data gets transferred between computers. And you're if it's not on the same network at all time, it's fair enough. If you've got an upstairs computer and a downstairs computer or something, they can synchronize across a really fast network. You try and log in after using your laptop away for a weekend. It's like just synchronizing all of this stuff, and maybe half an hour, 40 minutes later, you hope that your installation is the same on both machines, and it often is not.
Yeah, setup like that's ideal if you've got a few computers in a house that you use. If you have a personal computer, an office computer, and like a media center or something like that, then it's ideal just to have everything in one space and you don't have to worry about which files are installed wherever. But if you're not doing that, it's just an unnecessary headache.
I think the best thing I did for myself was set up the same file structure no matter what on all my drives and then my computers, but also including Google Drive, because now if I have a project that I'm working on and I want to have it somewhere else, it's just a matter of like uploading it to Google Drive, and then Google Drive will overwrite and it'll version it for me, and then if I need to use it in a different computer, I can just download it to the very same folder on that computer. But then it gets a little bit tricky slightly with like final, this is the real one.
Yeah.
But
Final 01 version 3.
Yeah, I was just trying to rename stuff again. Final 1, Final 2, and so on until Final Infinite. Yeah. I did have like Final 12 once. I was like, oh no, I should rename everything again. Final 11 or 12.
You raise a good point there about if you've got multiple computers trying to have the same username, and even drive mapping. So I have a NAS in my house. So if I need to render across like all the kids' machines and things like that, the Y drive, and I've named it Y because when people put thumbsticks in and everything else to a computer, they take up the lower letters. So name it at the end of the alphabet, and then all of your computers can log on to a NAS. And when, like, if it was an animation, you're all rendering out to Y my movie / render, then all of the computers are dumping into exactly the same folder. They're not having to remember. And the same on Dropbox. If you use Dropbox to synchronize between machines, you don't want your username on one machine to be Mikey on another, and Michael on another, because your usernames will be different. So your Dropbox locations will be different unless you put it on a different drive and anything like that. So making sure that your usernames are the same.
Yeah.
Did you say using your children's computers as like a rendering node?
Yeah.
I love
you
that.
did mention it once before, right?
Yeah. When they're out of the house, I mean, I say only got 1050 Ti's. They're like gold dust at the moment. But as long as the scene isn't more than 4 gigs, boom.
Love it. It's good.
And if you imagine, I think the last large render that I rendered out was, I think it was like something like 300 samples. So not a lot, but it had a lot of reflections in it. So it took a while to process through. And by the end, even if they've only rendered maybe 20 frames each out of, a couple of thousand, that's still 20 frames that I've not had to wait. I think they cut down the render time by about 10 minutes per machine. So it's half an hour that I had the final images already.
That's good. Very good.
So yeah, I capitalize on their machines all the time.
Next up, mobile phones.
I've actually been rendering in the background. So going back to Minecraft, Minecraft is so not going to take up your system's resources that I've had renders going on my user whilst they've been playing. And occasionally I feel a bit bad when they've gone, Dad, my system's lagging. You don't know what that word means. I grew up on 56k modem or 28.8k modem.
That's right.
You have no idea what lag is.
You don't know lag. You don't know lag until when you log onto the internet, you hear.
Oh my god! I remember, I remember when I was a kid. Okay, it used to take. I mean, it was 2G back then. It's not even like 3G or something. You guys say in the times where there's no internet in the first place, but yeah. It was 2G, and I had to wait to see the Google homepage for about 1.5 minutes here in And once I actually saw that, it's like, oh, internet is working. And then I had to like search for some project files. Like that's the first time I was ever using. I think I was in which grade, like seventh or eighth. I don't know. Like eighth grade. That's the first time I actually. Okay, this is a system, and it has internet. Like yeah, just download one picture of my project references, like like an image from internet. It took me so long. It took me like 1 hour. It's like, oh, fine,
Can
that's
you?
good.
Can the older gentlemen amongst us remember when images used to load up and it was one line of pixels at
One
a time?
line at a time, yeah.
Yep.
Scan
Oh,
it
really?
down.
One at a time.
Yep,
Yeah.
one line
One
at a time.
You get
I
halfway
didn't
there and
know.
you're
Like a
"Oh,
minute
this
for
isn't
like
even
a
right."
Like the suspense as a young boy.
When
Oh yeah.
what I remember
Oh, yeah.
from for me, I remember my first kind of interaction with the internet was the big off-white blocky computers, and
Yeah.
whenever you would open the browser, it would automatically open up the window to like dial up, and
Yeah.
then you
Mhm.
need to press the connect on that, and then I think that would
Yep.
either close
Yeah.
itself something, and then you could use the internet. I just remember that being a thing. As soon as you open the browser, you'd be presented with the other window. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what I
Yeah,
remember.
like the
Yeah.
login ID or something,
Yes,
right?
something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Had
America
I
access
remember
ID
that
to
as
the
Online.
well.
browser.
Yeah.
Conference
AOL.
serve.
Oh
I
my god.
This is going back quite a few years, and I feel very sorry, and I'm very glad that we have unlimited internet in the UK now.
Yes.
So when I was younger, I won a tournament. I can't remember what it was called. It was something associated with BT. I think it was gameplay or game something. And I won a tournament on this old 2000s game, Alien versus Predator. I think there was an earlier version in '97 or something, going
Mm.
back many years.
Yeah.
Fantastic game, by the way, in terms of lighting. It had real dynamic lighting and real water physics in it. And considering we're going back many years, that was really impressive for the time. But anyway, I won 50 quid in this competition. I was really proud of it. And my dad went, "Do you want to pay the phone bill then?" And I was like, "Why? What do you mean phone bill?" Because this is the day when the minutes that you were on the phone, it was 450 quid
Whoa.
Oh
for that
no.
month.
Oh
Oh
my
no.
I was
god.
just like, oh.
You're like, Dad, but I have a.
But I have a £50 voucher to buy a game with.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm curious to know, what are some of the, if you have like a very vivid one, examples of something that you something that you interacted with, whether it was a movie or a game that made you more interested than you may already have been, or like really set you over the edge into sort of wanting to be in 3D or to work in 3D? Like, because I imagine that, as a kid, for me, I don't have like one strong specific example off the top of my head, but definitely playing video games had a lot to do with it, because now I look at some of the games that I've played or some of the games that are mentioned, I was like, I remember that experience, and that was really something else for me. So what are some of those moments for you all?
I have a couple of
Oddworld
games.
Inhabitants.
Oddworld. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, this is like a nostalgia trip, man.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
god.
I played a
Oddworld.
lot with the Half-Life level editor.
Yeah.
That was and the Quake engine before that. That was a pain in the backside to make stuff with, but it was a lot of fun.
Kev, you just slapped me in the face with a memory, because I remember my dad would show me Oddworld on like there's like a
Nice.
PlayStation 1 thing, I think it was,
Yeah.
and it used to
Yep.
scare me because it was weird. It's such a weird style.
He's like,
Oh my god, yeah, like
Yep.
no, it's like the walking animations would like come on screen and be.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's mad. Sorry, I
Oddworld.
love games.
Was it
Yeah,
Abe?
there's a
Abe's Odyssey.
Yeah.
Abe's Odyssey. That was one of the ones that was I just loved the artwork. I just thought it was so cool, and I was just
Yeah.
like, I was so inspired, and I was like, I want to do that.
I used to get
It was
scared
fun.
looking at it. I don't know why.
Yeah, it
I
was cool.
basically completed like 3 games mostly in my life. I don't know. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's it. I didn't play much games, honestly. Mostly, like in India, parents think like video games.
Yeah.
I think that's
Dad.
parents all around the world.
Oh no, it's like they think it's like, oh, they'll basically beat you up if you play video games. That's how bad it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love video games. I think I used to play a lot with my brother. The Crash Bandicoot games, they did a
Yeah.
lot
Oh, yeah.
for us, all of them. God, even when like I watch gameplay of them now, you don't realize how much you remember like all the sound effects like are just like embedded deep in your head. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy. But I think the two main games that really kind of pushed me into 3D, or like wanting to do game stuff anyway, the second Ratchet and Clank game, because I loved that one so much, and Mercenaries: Playground of Destruction. Which was a kind of like an open world thing set in North Korea. You had to take out all these kind of commandos. It was like a deck of 52, I think it was. You needed to like take out all the people, but it was crazy because you could like you had this agency. You could call in like any kind of like military equipment you wanted, and I really loved the idea that you could just put anything anywhere. Like it was like a sandboxy game. And
talking about like input anything anywhere, like one favorite game of mine was Age of Empires 2. I have played that game so many times when I was a kid. And then obviously GTA came along and I was like, yeah, GTA, that's the thing, that's the way to go.
Yeah,
I just realized like the first game which I played, like the GTA one, was actually the year I was born. I was like, what? There was 3D while I was a kid? Like, yeah, apparently this. Oh, and I also have to start the Alien series as well. The Alien series that we were talking about. Because I saw some screenshots that you guys sent. I was like, what? This was when? 1970s? What?
Yeah, 79.
Am I
Oh my
right in
God.
thinking that's one of the first films, if not the first film, that used like CO2 to? I mean, it's stupid.
Maybe
It would never happen in real life, but to actually have the atmosphere, they were injecting like fire extinguishers into the scene.
I think so.
Oh my
I'm not
God. Yeah,
sure.
like the fog and everything was like amazing. I have
I've watched Aliens or Aliens so much, and Aliens is one of my favorite films. I mean, it's not aged well, but it's still freaking awesome.
The self-destruct sound in the first
yeah.
film still gives me like the creeps, man. Whenever she like
Yep.
she
Okay,
sets it.
spoilers. Stop it, both of you.
Alright, let's stop it.
Stop it.
Yeah,
Just,
you just have to watch the first one, and then I watched the first one, and when I was a kid, I still have nightmares, man. Like the second one, the
Right,
second one freaked me out even more than the first.
Wait, is it like a horror thing? I don't know.
The first one is kind of like it's like sci-fi horror.
Okay, that's interesting then. I want to
The
watch
second
it.
one is like the second one, Aliens, is like sci-fi horror, suspense, thriller.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen this movie called Predator?
Yeah.
Predator?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is it like
Oh yeah.
almost similar, like Aliens and
That-
Predators? I don't know.
The
They
That
exist in
gave
the
me like
same
nightmares so
universe.
much.
the
I mean,
interesting
like,
thing about Predator is that it's technically not the same, but something about it, they just like, I mean, the fan bases were like, yes, this is a thing. So
You know what happened?
I believe they are in the comics. It is the same universe because I think when you see the Predator's ship, they actually have an
Okay.
alien skull in there as well.
That's
so
what. Yeah, it was the end of Predator 2.
yeah.
Where when Danny Glover is in the ship, and you actually see in the skull room, in the trophy room, and it's definitely a xenomorph skull. Like they definitely, like, the prop department probably just like took this, a bunch of stuff they had lying around and stuck it on the wall.
Yeah.
But the fans were like, "That's a Xeno," and then it launched the whole thing. So
it was probably just an Easter egg at first.
Yeah.
Probably what?
Probably an Easter egg at first.
It might have been, yeah. I mean, somebody
they've
probably
just
threw it
latched
in.
onto that and been like, yeah, this is the thing now.
Yeah.
In the later films, of course, there is Alien versus Predator as an actual film. So
yeah,
they're like, there's a
is that
demand.
how it?
Yeah, let's make money off it.
Okay, now it comes back to me. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but just watch Alien.
Stop it, everyone. Let's come back to something else because we are going to spoilers. I mean, there's a border to talk about anything.
This is the Alien podcast now. We can talk about it for ages.
Yeah. One more thing about, like, I mean, no spoilers, but even Pixar gives lots and lots of Easter eggs in the movies as well, right? Like, they use the same characters. I mean, I think it was Monsters University. Not Monsters Inc. I think INC, the first movie where it was 2002 or something. They did have Woody like a toy for the kid, Boo. I was like, oh, this is nice. I was like, okay, But then I
Yeah, they
realized
have
like that
that.
was very old movie. That was when I was like very young, like 2 years old. I was like, what?
It's a good way of
Honestly,
reusing assets as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. But one
Yep.
more thing about the whole thing, okay? Like for me, whenever I watch a movie, I mean the Polar Express, the very old one.
Mhm.
I thought, oh, okay, they're actually humans. Maybe they are from different countries. People look like that. I didn't say this to Curtis. Like,
Yeah.
I thought like, oh no,
I was
there
like,
was
oh
a
my god,
weird
Sharon.
memory of
I was
me.
like,
Like,
people from other
okay,
countries don't look animated.
Yeah.
it's like probably because I haven't never seen a person like that before. I was like, okay, this is. I didn't even know what animation was back then, and it was really fascinating when it was in Pogo or like Cartoon Network. I was like, okay, these people are from, I think, in the faraway lands.
the Pixar race.
Yeah.
Where is Annie Valley? Like where?
I mean,
Yeah.
Country.
that's exactly what's fascinating me. Like, honestly, that's the first time I think I watched a 3D film. I think Polar Express actually pushed the limits of 3D. But I also remember thinking all these movies, Toy Story 1, it was very old. Like, to be honest, was 20 years back. I don't know when the first one was
98, I
out.
think.
Yeah,
1990.
which was like I never born. Like I
Six.
wasn't born back then.
Mhm.
Which
Makes it very old, but
means I was thinking it was released somewhere to live or 2006. I thought like, yeah, it makes it very old. It's like what? I can't believe it. It's 3D, and Blender in 2000 was like unusable. Like, how did they make this? That's not
Yeah.
possible. And I realized, yeah,
big.
okay. I mean, all these things came back to me when I was actually looking at the dates, the chronological order of Pixar movies. It's like that was way back, like very, very old. It's fascinating to me. It's just 30 years of 3D industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody actually used 3D before about 1998. If you look at
Yeah.
the effort they had to go to get what was
Yeah.
mostly not very great imagery is unreal. Like in the early days, you literally had to like input the verts manually with coordinates. You had
Yeah.
to
Yep.
type there, and then you had to render it before you actually knew if that looked good or not, which was not a quick
Yeah.
process. And then even after that, like Jurassic Park era, they made like sculptures of the dinosaurs and 3D scanned them basically, which was not great technology at the time. And did like a
And then
laser scan,
plotted
so
everything.
they didn't have to manually put in all these verts for the models.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
like, why
Crazy,
bother?
dude.
Yeah.
Like back then,
Damn.
I would have just been like, you know what, we're doing this with stop motion. We're doing this
Yeah.
a different way.
Yeah.
We've got Matt Payton's. It works fine in Star Wars. We're not gonna
Yeah,
bother.
I jumped in 1998, and it was still, I mean, that was before Maya, and it was Lightwave existed, Softimage existed, and some proprietary stuff that Pixar and ILM had, but there wasn't a whole lot. There were no
Yeah.
courses, there was no YouTube. Like if you wanted to learn this stuff, you picked up a book or the manual and read it. Like there was you couldn't learn it anywhere. I think maybe School of Visual Arts or Cal Arts were teaching like cursory introduction to it, but that was it.
Oh,
Yeah. One more thing. Also, like, okay. Do you wanna go?
yeah,
Go
I was just gonna
Go
say,
for it.
Rob mentioned stop motion briefly then, and I had another flash of memories. Two films that scared me as a kid. Again, Jason and the Argonauts, and the seventh Voyage of Sinbad.
Okay.
Wow.
Coraline as well. Like
Yeah.
for me.
Has
Have you seen
anyone
Coraline?
seen those?
Yes, Coraline.
Oh yeah, Coraline.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean that creepy eyes. Oh, never mind. Just leave it. Never talk about that again. It was
Yeah,
good, but
the
I watched it
buttons.
very recent. Okay. Yeah, the buttons one. I watched it like about few months back when my friend was like, "Haven't you watched Coraline?" No. Like then watch it now. Don't talk to me or else. Like yeah, I will. It's like yeah, I
I'm
watched it and
I'm
yeah,
not sure how suitable it was for my children, but
Yeah.
it's kind of
It's,
scary though.
It's based on a Neil Gaiman book, I think, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it's probably pretty dark.
Yeah.
My favorite, like yeah,
Stardust is still one of my favorites. Yeah. But
my other favorite animated things when I was a kid was Shrek. The
Shrek.
series is amazing. Yeah, Shrek. Yeah, like even like it was good. It was good.
Yeah, there was a show when I was a kid. Fraggle Rock on HBO.
I've heard of that.
Fraggle Rock
And
was awesome.
there was one
Nice.
episode in particular of that show that I don't understand like why they ever made, but it freaked kids out, freaked me out, man. It was an episode called The Terrible Tunnel.
Oh,
And
these.
I'll look it up, please.
yeah.
Can you find it?
I've now
Online?
got the theme tune in my head, by the way. Thanks.
What's that?
I've now got the theme tune in my
Oh
head.
man, I
Ding,
remember.
ding, ding, ding. Yeah. Oh man, that one episode just you watch it now as an adult, you're like, it's kind of funny, but as a kid, man, it just scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, I just
Yeah, that's
Googled
Fraggle
that.
Rock.
I know the episode.
You know the episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird one. I
It's a
remember
weird
that.
one. But it's a good one. It's a really good one. But nothing like
Okay. I've seen this. I've seen this. Bits and
You've seen it?
flashes. Yes.
yeah, watch that
Oh, no.
episode. It's really good.
No.
What about
I mean, those characters actually, I used to hate them so much. It's like so creepy. Like,
Jim
I mean,
Henson's
I
great.
thought it was creepy, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was gonna say, what
I should
about
watch it.
the original Dark Crystal film? That one was a bit freaky.
Skeksis, man. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Skeksis freaked me out.
Oh man.
Ghostling.
Oh no.
Friend.
There's some really weird movies. So I don't know why Labyrinth always creeps me out as a young person.
David
Yeah,
Bowie.
Labyrinth.
All
Dance,
of those
magic
80s
dance.
fantasy movies were really weird. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
a weird
Krull.
time for-
Remember Krull?
Yeah.
Oh,
Everyone,
yeah.
even
Krull
the
was a
ones
good
that-
one.
The ones that aren't trying to be creepy, like Neverending Story, things like that. Even
Yeah.
they have this sort of unsettling,
Yeah.
weird vibe
Yep.
to them that you only
Yep.
got in the 80s and early 90s. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is.
Actually, there was a host of when Nickelodeon started. It wasn't necessarily the kids network. They were just
Yeah.
buying a lot of content from New Zealand and Canada. And there was this one show, the two of them. One was called Into the Labyrinth, which was a series of 4 miniseries. Each one was like 4 or 5 nights long. And they had some really creepy stuff. Into the Labyrinth was really good. It's called The Third Eye. I'm sorry. The series was called The Third Eye, and there's The Haunting of Cassie Palmer, Into the Labyrinth, Children of the Stone, and Under the Mountain. And Under the Mountain was actually a book written by the guy Maurice Guy, and it was really, really good. I think there was like a movie made of it fairly recently, but these 4 episodes were really good. And then there was another show on there called The Tomorrow People that was really freaky that they recently redid too. But all this stuff, and then they would like mix in stuff like You Can't Do That on Television slowly, and they slowly became the kids network. But before that, they were airing some like bizarre 80s sci-fi stuff. It was like really, really trippy stuff.
I again, this whole thing is just bringing back so many memories. But there was another kind of mid-80s film that concerned me, Return to Oz. Did anyone watch that? And
Mhm.
like, do you remember what the Scarecrow looked like in that? You should, if you can't remember, look it up. Return to Oz
Yeah, I'm gonna
Scarecrow.
have to remember.
Wait a second.
Yeah, Return to
Yeah.
Oz, OZ, Scarecrow.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that as a kid, but I saw it not too long ago, like
Oh.
a few years ago, and it was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, it's so weird. What
Yeah.
was happening?
Was it
in that
released at
decade?
Halloween or something?
I don't know, but I was young when I watched that. I was like, oh my god.
Oh my god, is this the movie like where Dorothy?
Yeah, I can't remember the
I
exact
did.
premise of it, but it's something to do with I can't remember, her going back or whatever. I'm not sure.
Is it like a twin girls?
I can't remember. I think I might have suppressed it.
I think there's like
Yeah,
Indian
I might have
version of
suppressed
this
it.
for some reason. Like looking at this, there is an Indian version of this movie,
Wow.
Really?
which
Probably.
yeah, there was.
You're right.
Oh, no,
you're
the
right there, Rob.
Scarecrow.
Like the mid '80s, there's so much weird stuff.
Weird time.
Yeah, there's also I think New Zealand or Australian movie called Dot and the Kangaroo. I think it's Australian.
Right.
And there's this one part of that movie that scared me as a kid. It was like this thing they called the bunyip, and it was just oh man, the animation was like and the song and everything just freaked me out.
Oh right, okay.
It's an like animated movie.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of that now. So, like, if people are listening to this, they're going to be looking it up as well. Yeah, we invite you to. This is going to be very weird.
Yeah.
Wasn't there like
Yeah.
there was an animated show that was like needlessly violent? Was it Watership Down or something?
Oh yeah.
with the
was-
rabbits and the hares and like being like torn
Yep.
apart or something.
Yeah.
Oh, when was
Okay,
that?
when did Rick and Morty come for the first time?
That
Which
was
year was it?
that was quite recent.
That is
Yeah,
quite
it's
recent.
fairly
Was
recent.
it? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, Watership Down was I wouldn't say not for children, but it was very harrowing. It's just
Yeah.
unnecessary. I would put it on,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
unnecessarily realistic for a cartoon.
Yeah, I just type in Watership Down and I'm seeing like dead animated bunnies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh no.
Yeah, not for you, Sharon. Don't watch it.
Yeah, we almost
No.
we had it on a list for the kids, and I was like, no, take that off. I no.
Yeah.
Then again,
Why do I?
let them watch Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. That was
Hmm.
a little fun.
That's
was
more
still
more
hokey.
cultural, isn't it? That one.
It's cultural.
Yeah.
One more thing, like the
That was just a-
101
that was just a-
Dalmatians.
It's like, what were you thinking?
101
Yeah.
Dalmatians.
Remember? Yeah, 101 Dalmatians.
Mhm.
That lady who basically wants that cloak,
Oh,
with
Cruella
Dalmatian
de Vil.
skin.
Oh yeah, yeah.
She scared me
Cruella de Vil.
so much.
Yeah,
She used to come in my
Cruella
nightmares.
de
I
Vil.
remember. I was like, no, don't,
Yeah.
please.
I was going to say about the alien.
Oh my
There's been like no creature from any film that's ever entered my nightmares except for the xenomorph from the Alien series.
Me too, man.
You know,
Me too.
don't know why. It's just that one, and it keeps coming back every now and again. And
I'll do a sculpt just for you, Curtis.
I think I've sculpted it once. I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I
don't
think
know
you
if it's still
did.
there.
Like, I mean, I saw your like old sculpts
Yeah.
in Instagram.
Yeah.
They do look very alien, like very, very alien. Kind of creeps me out.
I
though.
don't know why. That one just keeps coming back, and I can't get rid of it. It's going to be in there forever.
I can't either. Like every now and then, it's still in my dreams.
Yeah, it's weird.
I'll see
Still,
if I
I
can,
watched it when I was like 11 years old or something. I was like,
Okay. Talking about dreams.
Yeah.
Gone.
I'll see if I can find one of my old art books. It may even still be at my dad's, but for my A levels, I Geiger or Giga, depending on how you decide to pronounce his name. He was my artist of choice. So
Nice.
I had lots of xenomorph and lots of rib cages and all the other weird
I did
stuff.
the same thing in school for my art GCSE.
Yeah.
I had a coffee book of H.R. Geiger work, and I just went through that and ripped it off basically for
That's what you do as a young person.
Yeah.
I have one of those passion books with Giger's art in it. It's awesome.
I mean, you can't do something Giger-esque or Geiger-esque without someone saying, you've just copied Geiger.
Yeah.
He's got such a unique style.
Nothing. I'm coming back to Harry Potter, obviously. I had the best Harry Potter dream 2 days back, and it was amazing. It was right after I had food in the afternoon. I was like, yes, this is the good time to sleep. And I slept for 3 hours. I remember it being so long. Like, I mean, it's never ending. It's all Harry Potter. I was actually in Hogwarts, walking around with friends. Obviously not in the same, it was not Harry or Hermione over there. It was completely new people. Like, yeah, like few familiar faces as well, because when I dream, there will always be one familiar face for me. I'll explain the details later because it's gonna be a long one. Well, carry on.
People are signing off. I was just gonna say quickly, I hate it when you go to bed, you feel like you have a long dream, you wake up and then you realize it's only been like 10 minutes.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah. What are you gonna say, Kev?
I mean, like,
damn you, brain.
I was just remembering that a friend of mine used to work. I think it was at the Limelight in New York City, and they had the Giger room. It's either the Limelight or Webster Hall. I think it was the Limelight, and they had like a whole room with like Giger art in it. It's pretty crazy. Just keep in my mind. Anyway.
Yeah. Another thing is, one thing I don't want to look up on internet, but then I still did recently, was the VFX breakdown of Harry Potter. I really wanted to look because I was really fascinated how they did it, like really back then. It is amazing. Like even the invisibility cloak.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. Is like, how did they do that? Like, it was so good. It was.
Breakdown of the sounds of Harry Potter. I don't remember what channel it's on.
Yeah.
This guy edits or something like that. But the way that essentially the first movie, the first films sounds specifically for magic are really whimsical and really like fluffy.
We're getting copyright strike.
Yep, there we go. And I love watching breakdowns like that.
Yeah.
Because it really, I don't know, makes you watch film differently. And obviously, I have a background now in filmmaking and cinematography, and so it makes it really fun. Like we were watching, I mentioned we were watching It yesterday, the newer film. And I had already seen it. I saw it in theaters when it came out, and it was great. I remember, so I like horror films. I don't like gory films too much. I don't like jump scares. I think they're cheap. But this film didn't really have many jump scares, if any. And I just remember walking away at the end of the film going like, wow, that was a damn good, like, scary movie.
Yeah.
And so I again this time and try to, like, break down a lot of the cinematography. And then, you know, because I'm kind of currently my interest of the week is horror film and scary stuff, and like how do we make something scary. And I think they did a bang up job with it. It was good. But anyway, yeah, that's my
Yeah, this getting into some of our friends are playing this game called Call of Cthulhu. It's this old role playing game, and it's based on Lovecraft. And it's really really cool dark stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it and Stephen King is phenomenal. I mean, that guy can pump out so many stories so fast. But I love it because it's just, man. Have you read the Dark Tower series? Anyone?
Yeah.
Part of it. I didn't get very far into Dark Tower.
Yeah,
It
you have
wasn't
to get
bad,
through.
it
You have
was
to get.
It was like the commitment to go into something that big. It's like you reach that point where it's like, am I going to continue with this, or am I going to do something productive?
Yeah, it's like you really have to. It's a commitment, but you have to get past. You got to get past the second book. I found the second book to be the most. It was just the slowest. I don't know why. Like a lot of people liked it, but for me, it was the slowest. But once you get to the third book, it's just it doesn't stop. It's like a freight train just barreling through right to the end. It's so good.
Yeah.
But
I like
yeah, The Stand, Christine. Man, so many great stories.
one of the like anthologies or series that I really like, that I think really shaped the way that I see the world in some ways, or at least my like sort of like visual lens, was Nightmares and Dreamscapes by Stephen King, which is a collection
Never read that one.
of stories, like short stories that are either bits about the world that turn a bit Black Mirror-esque, with a bad.
Cool.
The whole thing's kind of Black Mirror-esque, but it's like, you know, bad things could really take a really bad turn or take a really good turn. Called The End of the Whole World. I think it's maybe about like a 30-minute read.
Cool.
If you're a good, but I can't recommend it enough. Like, you'll read it and you'll just go. Do you need to go for a walk afterwards? You're like, shh. Whew, wow, it's a good one. It's a good one.
It's in Nightmares and Dreamscapes. What's the story?
The End of the Whole World.
The End of the Whole World. Cool.
Or The End of the Whole Thing. Let me see. Have some book recommendations that you've enjoyed. Definitely leave them in the comments below, because I could use some new stuff to read.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I read I Am Legend, the original book, you know, and Stephen King did a little introduction and an exit to the version that I have, which was interesting because he talks about how the book inspired him so much, and then you read it and then he does an exit. So that was like a really interesting way to read it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just so I could what I said really quickly, it's called The End of the Whole Mess.
Yeah.
The End of the Whole Mess.
I think I did see the film I Am Legend.
It's not like the film, really.
Yeah,
They really
then
changed
I
quite
should
a lot.
actually.
That's always the way with books, though. I've read a lot of Tom Clancy's books, and I think it was Sum of All Fears. I just finished the book, and the film came out, and it's long enough ago that I'm, spoilers. But I got to the part where, in the actual book, the nuclear device goes off in the stadium and takes out the president. Of course, in the film, the president escapes.
Yeah,
I'm like, that was it. At that point, I was just like, stop. That's not what happens.
Yeah. Didn't you write the Hunt for Red October? That was Clancy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I watched the new series with John Krasinski, Zach Ryan, Tom Clancy's. It was good. I like the
Jack
series.
Ryan.
Yeah, I enjoyed Jack Ryan.
It was really nice.
The book that I've been recommending for like the last year or last 2 years or whatever on my channel has been The Player of Games by Ian Banks. And I don't know why, but it's one of the smallest books he did in his like culture series, but it's like it's still one of my favorite books ever. And not sure why. It's just something about the visual of it. Like he'll jump in and out of doing like extremely detailed like sense descriptions, but I think it was written in the 1980s. But it's also super like well ahead of its time for like gender stuff as well, because it's all about like the culture, which is like
Cool.
his like super advanced, kind of alien kind of robotic race type thing, kind of super secretive, and how like constructs don't really matter that much, and how they kind of interfere with other like lesser developed cultures. But it's about a guy that basically needs to go to like another race to try and like win a game, which is like a huge part of their culture, to try and do something for them. And I really like it, so I highly recommend it.
Did anyone read Percy Jackson series?
No.
My brothers
Like-
followed those books up.
I love that series so much. There you go. Rick Riordan, my favorite.
Yeah.
Which books?
Just the player.
I am Banks. I am Banks. Okay.
Oh,
Player of
sweet.
Games. It's a small one.
Player of games.
Yeah. Sadly, he passed
Cool.
away like a few years back
Oh, man.
no.
from cancer, I think.
I read
Yeah.
there was a really good book series by Guillermo del Toro and another writer. It's sad I can't remember his name. The Strain, that I thought was really good. It was 3 books,
Yeah.
vampire stuff, really good.
Yeah, I like Del Toro's work.
Yeah.
I mean, you should also like read some Indian authors' books as well. I think I'll put some in for you, like for you guys, which I really enjoyed. It's not like very lengthy books; they're really small books.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I think I'll send them to you guys.
Awesome.
There's a short story here. This is an anthology, I believe. Yeah,
Mhm.
10th of December,
Oh.
by Saunders, and I got it at a bookstore in like Western Massachusetts, where I just randomly asked the bookstore person,
So-
"Are there any books that you recommend?" And then she picked this one out, and had 218 there on the sticker, and that's my birthday, so I was like, okay, that's a good sign. So got it. Man, was I in for a trip. Like the way that this author just plays with language and uses I don't know, it's amazing, it's incredible. But there's one story called Escape from Spiderhead, and it's about 40 pages long. And after I finished reading it, I had to start rereading it again, because I was like, if I ever make a movie, this is gonna be about this story. So
Nice.
Spiderhead.
it's like, I don't have to. All I have to do is just cast people and tell them to read it, and you'll be like, okay, wow, it's so good the way that this person like just creates this environment, just using mostly dialogue. Man, so
That's
yeah,
amazing.
Nice.
Well, I've been playing a game called Hunt Showdown recently. I don't know if anyone knows
Mhm.
about this one. It's made by Crytek.
I've looked at it several times and I'm like, I didn't quite get the premise. It seemed like something you need to play with others rather than
yes,
jumping in.
It's better with others. It's mostly designed as like a 2-player game. You can play in like groups of 3, but it's mostly for 2.
what is it called?
Hunt Showdown. So Hunt : Showdown. So the premise is you're jumping in with a character. It seems to be like an alternate universe, kind of 1800s America type thing, because you've got like revolvers and all sorts of stuff. But there's kind of weird, dark, magic-y stuff going on. You're competing with other teams of people to hunt down certain creatures. So you're running around finding clues until you figure out where they are. And these creatures are very strange and they're very creepy. But there's one that's a spider, like a massive giant spider thing. And the AI is like super skittish and fast, and it will like climb on the ceilings and around, and it would like charge towards you. And I'm like, oh no, can't deal with it, man.
Okay. I really wanted to ask you this so many times, but when you watched the second movie, okay, when Aragog was introduced, the giant spider in Harry Potter, and all those children of Aragog chases the car,
Oh yeah.
how did you feel? Like,
I don't know.
What was?
I think I looked away from the screen. Really. If you ever go to Orlando, if you ever go on the Harry Potter ride there, Sharon, which you might do one day, maybe I shouldn't say anything, but there's a bit of a spider moment going on there.
The one in
Oh,
Universal?
that's nice.
Yeah, the one in Universal.
Harry Potter's, whatever, the
Wizarding
Yeah.
World.
The Wizarding World, or whatever.
Yeah, I think they have the same one here. I think it's the same ride.
All right, yeah. You're on kind of like those seats held up by Kuka arms as you're
Yep.
going around, and
Yeah, it's like the best of its kind.
yeah.
That's such a good ride.
So you're kind of flying around Hogwarts and stuff's going on, but then there is a bit where you go into the forest, and that's a bit where I close my eyes.
Yeah, it's honestly one of the best rides of its kind, man. It's so good.
It is well made. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
damn! I really want to come there.
It's so good.
Yeah, and when you come
Yeah.
to London, Sharon, you got to go to Leavesden. We can take you to the
Yeah,
studio tour.
take me.
I would love to do that personally. My daughter would love that too. Like, go to Leavesden and see the set is still there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you guys will see my kid side very immediately when I go there. I keep like, can I get that butterbeer, please?
Yeah.
Oh, butterbeer's
Can
so
you wait
good.
for 2 minutes?
Basically,
People love it or hate it. I love it.
Yeah, right next to the
Oh, wow.
studio, they built a separate area using the same kind of studio buildings that they have for the main one, where they have everything there, like the original, like I'd say the original, but it's kind of been reconstructed. The main hallway, what do you call it? You know, where
Great Hall?
Yeah, the Great Hall. And
Great
then you walk
Hall.
out, and then they show you like all the props and stuff. They got all the clothing items and all of that. But they've extended it over
God.
time as well, so they've built out a bit. But yeah, it's very cool.
We have like part of the Warner Brothers tour here in LA, but it's it's not Leavesden. It's not where most of it was done.
I've done that. I've another memory here. I've been to the Warner Brothers tour in LA. I remember now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I've done it once. That was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I want to do it. I still haven't done it.
Yeah.
Like I've been on a lot at well, obviously Universal, but I've been on a lot at NBC when they were there. Like I'd been on the set of Access Hollywood. I had a friend that worked there long time ago. Then we had lunch there at the NBC Studios cafeteria. It was fun, but yeah, I'd love to do that Warner Brothers tour. It looks really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah.
I have friends that work there, and I'm like, I always want to call them and be like, hey, can I? No, I don't want to do that.
I think when we were there, we saw like they had some old Batmobiles lying around while we were there. I'm not sure why.
Oh, cool.
It was just a memory, like the kind of classic type ones. A bit weird. I liked it.
Did you guys anyone went to the play book, the Cursed Child play?
No,
I didn't.
I read it though.
I mean,
yeah,
the trailers are so good. Like basically, even though they're not the same characters, obviously, but it's quite interesting how they will change the props immediately within seconds to basically shift to another scene. I do want to see how I never been to a stage play before, to be honest, like never.
They were doing
so
it
I don't know
here.
how it works and everything.
They were doing it here for quite a long time. I don't think they're still doing it, but they'd like decorated all the outside of the theater. Now that would have been cool.
I want to see.
You guys had the musical Lord of the Rings too.
I haven't seen Lord of the Rings. I should. It is 4.5 hours long. The first movie is like, when should I find time?
I can't imagine a musical Lord of the Rings.
Take the road, no matter how
look
far.
at the face of Arturo. He just what?
Yeah. And my camera's overheated, so I am gone.
Yeah, I figured.